Internet, it's Aaron, your personal driver, and today we're going back, guys. We're going back in time to where this all began. I will tell you why I signed up for Uber, how it's affected me, and basically where I am now because of Uber, how I got to become your personal driver. Mystro! So if this is your first time here, go ahead and hit subscribe down below and the stupid YouTube bell icon so you can be notified when I log in or do some kind of live stream. And if you're coming back, welcome back. I love my returning subscribers. Don't forget that this weekend, if I drive, I will be doing an in-the-car live stream so you can watch me in the car with my customers. Okay guys, so I often get the question of why I started. I kind of have talked about it on live streams and stuff like that. And I got injured, so I'm going to go back to where that. We were actually living on a military base. My wife was in the Army, and I worked in the courthouse, in the probate division, which encompassed all kinds of stuff, but just know I dealt with a bunch of end-of-life issues and blah, 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 blah. I filed paperwork for the government, basically. Then we had our kid, Johnny. You've seen him before. And there was a work truck that was backing up to load some washing machine and dryer into the back of the truck. And the pickup truck hit some ice and propelled into my front porch, pinning me on my left-hand side, against my own door arch on my front porch. So luckily we got some stairs because the truck hit the stairs and that took a lot of the collision out. So I didn't get the full blunt of it. And then I got pinned there. So so my first messing around with YouTube was actually in the hospital. I did like a vlog. I'll link that here, I think. I don't really know if I want to or not, but if I do, I'll link it up here. It'll be one of these corners up here. You guys can check it out. And it's like my own personal channel. I just talked about my injury, going through the injury and stuff like that. But basically I spent a little over a month, I think a total of 34 days in the hospital. I had 6 or 7 surgeries, emergency surgeries, on the left hand side, all below the waist. They had to, what I had was a crush injury. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's like when you're smushed so much that everything in your leg dies. So my veins were dead, my muscles were dead. They had to basically go in both sides of my leg and tear all of my dead tissue out. Some of which they did while I was awake and not under anesthesia. And that was not a fun experience. They had to pump some of it out, so they hooked me up up to like a machine that sucked out my insides. It was really gross. That hurt too, and I couldn't walk for about 2 years. I was in a wheelchair for 6 months after the hospital, and then I was on crutches for a while, and then I walked with a cane. That, with some other factors, is what made me quit my job, right? Staying home with the kids, quote unquote. The problem is, I mean, I could stay home with the kids, but I couldn't take care of the kids. Like, I was bedridden, get off the bed. Eventually, they put me on a sofa so I could recline the sofa and sleep. And I was sedentary, mostly, except for when the physical therapist and nurse came by and got me out and worked on my leg. And I sat in a recliner and mess around with the internet, watch TV and Netflix. Like, I think I watched every single thing on Netflix you know, I think it was 2009 or 2010. That sounds right-ish. Anyway, and it was really boring. Watching TV all day long is not fun. Maybe once or twice, but I couldn't get out of bed, and I was stuck on the couch. And I was worried because you know, I couldn't take care of. How do you take care of a kid? You know, Johnny was itty bitty then, running around being a terrorist, you know, like little toddlers are, and I couldn't get off the couch. So my mom had to take care of the kid real quick. We found out that didn't work. I mean, what if he had an emergency? what am I going to do? I'm stuck in a couch. I could crawl to him, I guess. Anyway, plus I was on all kind of medication. I wasn't just on like the good stuff like Percocet and stuff like that. They had me on methadone, which is like basically pretend heroin. You know, that's what they give to heroin addicts to try to get them off the heroin addiction. And so my equilibrium was all up. That's a nasty drug. I didn't like it at all. But I was on that 24 hours a day, and every 8 hours I took just a regimen of pills, and I was in so much pain. They actually ended up giving me an epidural on my left hip, so to try to numb all the pain, because it hurts to have it basically an empty leg. You know, the only nerves in my leg they put in from other parts of my body. So they took veins out of healthy parts of my body and basically constructed like a tube down to my foot and back. And anyway, so that's where I was. I was stuck. Couldn't go back to work. And then a couple years go by, and physical therapy and all that kind of stuff, and I start walking a little bit more. And we start looking at jobs because I need to work. And this is when I just got so depressed, because it's lonely. When you're hurt that badly, it's lonely. Because the rest of the world worries about you when you're first entering the hospital, right? Your mom flies in, your family writes cards and calls, you know, every relative you've ever had wants to know how you're doing. But once you get out of the hospital, everyone kind of goes back to their life. The natural order is restored, and you're just kind of left there, and everyone else is busy around you, and you're just stuck there on drugs and in pain, and the world is going on without you, and it's really depressing. And you feel like you're on a precipice at all times. Like, if one more bad thing happens, you just get pushed over the edge into this abyss of depression. And what killed me is I kept looking for jobs. And I was like, oh, you have to lift 75 pounds. And I was like, I don't know. I was also going to therapy 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. At first, the therapist came to my house, which was really cool. And then I started going to therapy outside the house 3 times a week. I had to see all kinds of specialists and doctors and stuff like that. And so, I mean, honestly, I was in the doctor's office oftentimes 4 or 5 days out of the week. And I just couldn't find, I was like, who's going to hire me? And I'm like, I can't, even in an office job, you need to carry 75 pounds because you need to pick up like paper or files and stuff and move it around. So I couldn't pick anything up. I was going to be gone at least 3 times a week, if not for the whole day, at least part of the day. And sometimes, if you're ready to go to the doctor, or especially a specialist, you'll be in the doctor's office, 4 or 5 hours, just waiting for your turn. And I was like, who's going to hire me? Who's going to hire me? And at the time, I was living in Lacey, Washington, which is right by the military base out there. And they just started Uber. So Uber had been going on, I think, 2 or 3 years before it got there. And because I was on the internet, I was like, I gotta find something to do. Maybe I can type documents online. What can you do sitting down? And then I looked at Uber and I was like, what is this? And then actually, I know recently I've given a lot of shit to Uberman, who's not Uberman anymore. But I watched his videos basically religiously. I've watched his entire library of videos to try to get an idea of what it was going to be like. And we got to a crisis point where it was like our savings was dwindling down. My wife was at her wit's end. Because keep in mind, Dorothy was still in the Army at this point. So that's demanding, right? Like, thank God she didn't get deployed, because she had already gone to Afghanistan, right? So I was thinking, she's going to go to Afghanistan, and I'm going to be all alone in this house, unable to move for like a year and a half. And God, that was depressing. Plus the kids. So she had to come home and take care of me, make sure I was on my meds, make sure I was bathed. Because when you're on drugs all the time, you don't have a sense of day sometimes. You sleep when you're tired, right? You eat when you're hungry. And the 9 to 5 that you're naturally in the work world as an adult doesn't exist. She'd be asking me basic questions like, did you brush your teeth? Did you wash your hair? Did you scrub? Because you can't get in a bath, right? But you can like sit in a shower chair and cover up your left side, or usually sponge bath or stuff like that. So yeah, my wife, think about that. For how long she went to work at the Army, PT in the morning, Army shit, all day long, coming home and then having to give her husband a sponge bath and give his medicine. So God bless her for that. But like we really, I mean, like we can't. Are we gonna sell the house? Are we going to move in with my parents, right? Because they have an extra bedroom, and my mom is, I call her semi-retired. She works sometimes. She takes contracts, but really she doesn't really work full time unless she wants to. And then, you know, so there'll be someone home to watch the kid and watch me. It was just like we didn't know what to do. So that's why I started to do Uber, and I was like, hey, it doesn't cost anything to sign up. Let's just try it. And so I did that, and it was like, I don't know how to describe it, the euphoria I felt. And it wasn't just doing Uber, it was getting out of the house, right? It was, I drove an automatic, so I didn't have to use the left side of my body. I had to go to my doctor, and I talked to my doctor about it, and he's like, okay, you proved me to drive, but I had to get one of those weird wheelchair stickers and stuff like that. And I just got out of the house for the first time in almost two and a half years. You know, and I've been grinding and working on the physical therapy and trying to heal. And the other thing I had to do was get off drugs before I could drive. That was the other thing I had to do. So the doctor's like, you can't drive a car. You're taking a gazillion milligrams of Percocet 24 hours a day. So I had to dwindle off that, and thank God I didn't get addicted to any of those pills. I know those pills are addicting and some people can get it, but like, oh, that was really hard. Because the reason you get addicted to pills, well, there's a lot of reasons, but one reason is the more painkillers you take for a longer period of time, your threshold for pain is lowered, right? So your tolerance is lower. So things that normally wouldn't hurt, you know, like stubbing a toe or like getting a little scratch, is intensified because your body's not used to feeling pain. You've killed all your pain receptors, right? So when you first get off the pain pills, like your leg hurts. Well, you know, my left side, my leg hurts so badly because my body was used to getting the pain relief for like the last 2 years, right? And so I slowly got off that, right? I went from taking it every 8 hours to every 12 hours to once a day to once every other day. And it sucked for a while because sometimes I would go every other day and I'm like, no, and I have to take it. I just have to shoot the pain, right? It's called getting behind the pain. It's when you are excruciating pain because you haven't taken your pills for so long. So what would happen is, you know, I wouldn't take my pills for like 2 days. Okay, I'm done, and my leg would just hurt. And the only way to take care of it, I mean, there's like shocking pain, right? The only way to take care of it is to over-medicate. So it was like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, right? It's because you had to catch up. Your bloodstream doesn't have the painkiller in it. You know, it takes time to process the pills and stuff like that. In the meantime, it's like you don't have any painkillers, even if you're taking the pills and you're just in pain. But I went through that whole process. I got through all that. I got approved to drive, and it was so liberating and so free, and I felt like I was being productive again. And Uber really drugged me out of depression. I mean, hardcore depression. Like I couldn't take care of my kids. I couldn't, you know, take care of my wife. God bless her for being a good wife, you know, good woman. Like marriages have broken up over less than that, man. I mean, like, I know most of my viewers are guys. I mean, imagine your wife couldn't have sex with you for 2 years. And, I mean, a lot of you guys would cheat on them. just keep it real. You cheat on your wife or you move on from her. Same for the female viewers, you know. So God bless her for that. I mean, so yeah, she stuck around, and she really didn't support my Uber at first. She thought it was like a hobby. She's like, oh, that thing where you drive people around. But then the money started coming in, and this was before all the pay cuts. Plus, in a new market, you know, they keep it high. So I started Uber at $1.43 a mile, which is much higher than most places, and it surged all the time because it was new. You know, I was among the first 5 drivers in my county. I went to an onboarding meeting, and it was like, hey guys, we're starting Uber in May. This is, you know, we're in February or whatever, March. So we're going to test some drivers to see if we can get some customers before we launch in March and announce that we're going into Lacey. So it was like weird at first because like no one really knew about it. Like a super secret club. I was like, what am I getting myself into? I'm joining the bearded transgendered Uber community. They're all gonna laugh at me. So I guess what I'm trying to say with that is, I feel like it was like a band of like broken things, you know, this is the cliche goes, who started Uber in the area. So I don't know if I particularly liked that or if I loved it, to be honest with you. Because it was me, I was desperate, you know, and some other people maybe who misfit and couldn't fit in. And some people who were hard professionals just doing some side work. And, but anyway, yeah, so that's how we met at the onboarding meeting. And I started making some pretty good money right away. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was driving in a crossover SUV with really bad mileage. I didn't understand how, you know, one county charged this much, another county charged another thing. I actually didn't know that if you got out of your home market, you weren't supposed to pick up riders. You know, this is all new. But I found a way to backdoor the app so I could turn it on in Pierce and King County. And what you'd have to do is just hit the online button back and forth, back and forth, back and forth several times until the app would freeze. You'd reload it and then you'd be able to log in. Sorry Uber, sorry not Sauber. Sorry. So I would take a ride out of my county into a different market where I wasn't registered to drive in, because you needed a business license in each individual county. So you need a business license in Seattle, you need a business license in Tacoma, and you need a business license in Olympia. I didn't know that. So I found a way to break the app, you know, so I could take rides in Seattle and in Tacoma, even though I wasn't supposed to. I mean, I would drive just to drive. And honestly, like I was saying, it's so freeing. I was just so happy to be out of the house and doing something. It just brought such joy to my life. I was like, I'm going to do this forever. This is the best job I ever had, because making money is addicting, right? That's what happens. And Uber does it on purpose. You know, that's why there's that ringtone that comes on, and there's a big flash on the screen. It's to make the dopamine in your brain go off. And I love me some dopamine, especially when you're depressed, man. When you're being depressed and down in the dump for 2 years, you get this rush of, you know, of dopamine. I'm gonna get somebody, and it was like the unknown. I didn't know what I was doing. I hadn't been outside of the area because I've been in the house. I got to see all kinds of places. I would drive half an hour, 35 minutes out of my way. I didn't care. One time I drove into the mountains on a dirt road. Good thing I was in an SUV, right? Because I had 4-wheel drive, and it was kind of shady. The sun was coming down, so I was like, I'm gonna get killed. And some guy on his mountain bike had busted a tire and didn't know where it was, so he just used his Uber app. He threw his bike in the back of my car and drove him home. He ended up giving me a pretty good tip, because I think I only made like $10 I had to be like 15. I think my cut was like $15 after I drove him home. But I drove half an hour of the way into the woods, and my car was filthy, and then the inside of my car was filthy because I had mud everywhere. But we were laughing and having a good time anyway, and so it didn't matter. So I cleaned my car out. I'm lying to you guys. I didn't clean my car out. I got it detailed. Don't look at me like that, guys. I was hurt, man. What did you want me to do? I couldn't crawl in the back of my car. Mud. That's another thing. It's like I could drive, but I couldn't get out of the car. So if anyone needed anything, they were shit out of luck, man. Some people got pissed off at me because I wouldn't put their luggage in the back, and I was like, hey, because I had my handicap sticker on the rearview mirror. I was like, hey, look at that. You see that? I'm handicapped. I can't get out and help you. And they're like, because you know people are terrible. So yeah, the poor guy had to lower his bike. But anyway, I digress from that. Anyway, Uber like, but it changed my life not only financially because it got us enough money to where I could stay home with the kids. Even now today with the kids full time, I can work on my schedule. So that was another amazing thing. Is I had to go to the doctors 3 times a week minimum, sometimes 4. So that means I could drive before and after the doctor's appointment. I could drive on my doctor appointment when this time's off. They didn't have the destination filter, but if they did, that would have been sweet because I could just set it to my doctor's office and gotten right on the way. And the other thing it did is I worked at night at bar times. Most new drivers do, I think, until they get a lay of the land, right? But I saw other people having fun, right? And it's going to sound kind of lame and pathetic. Y'all can make fun of me if you want to, that's fine. But like I experience joy through other people's eyes. You know, I'm older, I'm married, I got kids. You know, I'm broken, gained a lot of weight. That's what happens when you don't exercise. I used to love running. Oh, I used to run. I was run just for fun. Just for fun, I used to run. I digress. When you run a lot and then you don't run anymore, you gain weight. Plus, I wasn't exercising. I couldn't exercise. But anyway, I digress. But you know, I'd go pick up these young college kids at the bar. You know, they all be lovey-dovey, holding hands and kissing, and you know, they get in the car and want to put on music and party because they're having a good time at the bar and they're drunk and stuff like that. The kind of stuff that pisses me off now. You know, like I hate working the bar shift now. God, I hate drunk people so much. But at the time, I felt joy with them because my life was joyless. I was void of excitement and fun. So to get these kids in the back who were just living life to the fullest because they were drunk and didn't have any ambitions, it brought me to life. So not only did Uber save me financially, and it did, saved us financially, we still have the house now. And I live in California now, for those of you who are new. My house is in Lacey, Washington. We still have it. We didn't have to sell it. When my wife got a new job, we decided to rent it out because I love that house now. It's home to me, right? So hopefully I'll go back there someday. But we didn't have to sell it. We still own the house. So I got to pay the mortgage with Uber. And, you know, I wasn't very good at it either. I mean, I was only making like $600 to $800 a week. But, you know, I was working 4 days and I had all this other shit I had to do. That's the other thing, guys. I couldn't even work 12 hours. When I first started doing it, I mean, I could only work for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and then my pain, the blood would just swell in my leg because I was not used to sitting up. I was used to elevating it for 2 years, basically. So standing up or sitting down when my foot was on the ground was really painful because the blood would just basically go into my foot and swell up because my veins weren't functioning correctly. So yeah, I forgot to tell you guys that. So yeah. So I mean, I can only do it for like 2 hours and I have to come home and I put my leg up. And so imagine that. Imagine I go out, I drive until I was in excruciating pain. Then I'd come home, I'd put my foot up to drain the blood out of my vein, and I would just sit there and just praying like, I can't wait to get in my car and drive for Uber or some more. Isn't that crazy? It's crazy to think about that because now, you know, sometimes you dread getting in the car with Uber pool, all this other bullshit we have to do now. It's not fun anymore. But like I would just sit there because I couldn't take any pain pills because then I couldn't drive. I'd elevate my leg and I'd slowly watch the swelling of my foot go down, and I could actually feel the sensation as the blood came down through my leg and the way it was supposed to. And then my pain would go away and I'd get back and drive again. So, you know, I'd make like $600, sometimes working only a couple hours, a couple times a week. This was back when you could make that money. I mean, if I could do it full time with the knowledge I have now, I would have killed it in Lacey because, you know, it surged all the time. Was new. No one knew it. They just pushed the button and paid whatever it costed. But yeah, so it not only helped me financially, but like my soul was healed by Uber. And I know, so some of you veterans, especially those of you guys who have been watching the channel for a long time, it's going to shock you because I'm always so negative on the channel about Uber because, you know, over the years they've cut rates to just where you can't make any money. Now they've changed the surge system so that drivers are going to get screwed on the surge. Upfront pricing is basically theft. They're going to steal from drivers and from the customers. So it's gotten worse over time. But when it started, I mean, it saved my life, it saved my marriage, it saved my house. A lot of times, you know, when I go to pay the mortgage every month, on my house, I think about, man, this financial situation we were in. I couldn't work for 2 years, and our savings were at nothing, and we were on the brink. Yeah, so then I jumped on all these Facebook forums, the Reddits, etc., the forums of the world. Because remember, guys, I'm still not able to do a lot, so I'm still sitting down not doing anything. And I'd be typing, I was helping other people with their questions. Hey, I'm new to this, or what happens if someone throws up in your car, blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's another reason I liked Uber. No one threw up in my car, amazingly enough. Until 2000, and I think it was 2035 was the first puker I had, but that's another story too. Anyway, and so I would be typing the stuff, and I was like, why am I typing the same damn thing over and over and over again? So what I did with my channel is I answered the questions I was answering on the internet forums, and then I would just paste my video every time someone had a question. Yeah, so my YouTube channel was literally born out of laziness. Like I wanted to record a video, put it on there, so I wouldn't have to type the same thing over and over again. And it kind of just over time grew into where it is now. I mean that monitor you guys see right there, that's off of YouTube money, $1,000. So my first year I did YouTube, I made $700 last year. So then on the first little bit of the year, I made $300. So I took that $1,000, bought the monitor. That's how I've gotten all of my equipment, all of my stuff, this keyboard, with Uber money, not Uber, with YouTube money. And so when you guys give me super chats and my Patreons, and you give me money on PayPal and stuff like that, or I get sponsorships, that money doesn't go into savings, it doesn't go to bills, it goes into this studio. And so yeah, it's taken 2 years to get a setup that I think is decent looking, that I'm happy with, but I got here because of that. And so now I look at it, I mean, as of this time I'm recording this, I have 2,500 subscribers. That's not a big YouTube channel, but I think anyone who does rideshare YouTube who can get more than 1,000 subscribers has a successful channel. Not a lot of people watch rideshare on YouTube. A lot of the information is the same, so you have 25 YouTubers telling the same thing to the same base of audience, right? So I feel that I'm successful in that space. I wasn't there first, like Uberman and the rideshare professor, or the referral professor, if you will, and some of these other YouTubers who jumped in on it first. But I feel like now that they're moving on, some of their those subscribers are dwindling down to me. But so this result is of where I am now doing these recordings and stuff like that is all because of an accident, really, but because of Uber allowing me to do it. So yeah, there's my story, and I guess I'm going to do a separate video for this also, and in that separate video I'm going to talk about, now that I know how YouTube works, quote unquote, I'm going to be starting a couple other channels. And the reason for that is I'm driving Uber less and less because my kids are needing more and more of my time during the summer. So I think I'm only going to be able to do Uber when school's in session. Because Johnny has like baseball practice and soccer practice, and he needs me to take him to this doctor to go see this thing, or to the other thing, or to this field trip, or to this museum, or whatever. And my wife, it's like Monday through Friday, and so on the weekends when I would normally work and she'd stay home with the kids, she wants to go do things, go to the beach, experience and stuff like that. And so, she makes a little bit more money now that she's out of the Army, and so we have that ability. So, I want to get out and drive because I love driving. It's like my favorite thing is to live stream in Uber with you guys. But, I'm not going to choose YouTubing live streaming, you know, Ubering, that kind of stuff over my kids. You know, if I can spend 8 hours on a beach in California with my 5-year-old and my 1-year-old, I'm gonna do that. And so I will always do Uber. I always do Uber. I love it. As much as I hate being taken advantage of, it's the most fun you can do for a job. It's the easiest job. It's the laziest job. And it's addictive. You have to stretch. You're basically playing a game. How much money can I make today? And I'll always do it, but you know, during the summer months, I'm almost never going to do it because the kids aren't at school and they're going to do all these things. You know, I'm not going to miss my kid's soccer game because I'm Ubering. You know, we're not at a place in our life where we need the money to pay the electricity bill. We were there. There was a time where it was like, well, we have 36 hours for me to make $215 because we need milk, electric bill, and cable paid. So I was there. We did that, but we're not that place in our life anymore. And so because of that, I think I'm going to take all this knowledge and start some other YouTube channels. And I'll do another video on that. Or maybe I'll edit this out and make it its own video. I haven't decided. I don't know what I'm going to do. But yeah, so that's where I'm at.